Tuesday, May 27th, 1997, 3 o'clock p.m., Central Texas. The citizens of Jarrell are going about their normal afternoon routines. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary, but above, a concerning combination of ingredients was coming together that contained the potential to cause dangerous and deadly severe weather, including tornadoes. Meteorologists were well aware of the brewing situation and were warning the public of the danger. However, nothing could prepare anyone for the events that would unfold within the next hour. This is the story of the Jarrell tornado, the dead man walking. Founded in 1909, Jarrell is a small town in central Texas, being home to 1,700 people and containing 5 schools. Being in central Texas, Jarrell was no stranger to severe weather, and prior to 1997, Jarrell did have a bit of tornado history, with the town being impacted by an F3 in 1989, which killed 1 and injured nearly 30 more. Severe weather was definitely in the picture going into the afternoon on the 27th. Here's an atmospheric sounding taken in the vicinity of Jarrell on the afternoon of May 27th. Taking a look at the skew T on the left, we can immediately see the extreme amount of instability that was present in central Texas, with a staggering 6,000 joules per kilogram of mixed layer CAPE and 8,000 joules per kilogram of surface-based CAPE being present. Given that the 3 CAPE values, or the CAPE values from the surface to 3 kilometers above the surface, were approaching 250 joules per kilogram, it was safe to say that thunderstorms would not only be powerful, but explosive. However, taking a look at the photograph on the right, wind shear, while present and sufficient for tornadic activity, was more favorable for large hail. A surface low set up in north-central Texas and a dry line extended to the south and west from the low. Storms would fire from the dry line and take a southwesterly path. Any storm that would form would have the potential to produce all forms of severe weather, including giant hail, damaging winds, and tornadoes. As the cold front behind the dry line would move east with the low, storms would eventually congeal into an MCS, or line of thunderstorms. Seeing this threat, the Storm Prediction Center issued a moderate, level 2 out of 3 risk, spanning from eastern Texas into western Louisiana. Just before 1 o'clock, a tornado watch was issued, indicating the risk for all severe hazards, including tornadoes, but the main risk that was highlighted was the threat for giant, destructive hail. Regardless, the stage was set for a long day of significant severe weather. Just before 12 o'clock, a supercell popped up in McLennan County and began moving southwest at a sluggish speed of 15 miles per hour. The storm produced a few tornadoes before entering the north side of Jarrell, with the most notable being a tornado near Lake Belton, which grew to almost 1.5 miles wide, producing F3 damage in its wake. After that tornado lifted, the supercell produced a few more brief, primarily weak tornadoes while entering Williamson County. At 3:40 p.m., sitting north of the town of Jarrell, the supercell dropped its 6th tornado. Initially very small, the skinny, nearly invisible rope tornado danced around in a field, taking on the structure of a drill bit tornado. Scott Guest, reporter for the KVUE news station in Austin, was in perfect position to document the life of this tornado. The very small and thin funnel rotated rapidly, like a skater bringing their arms in to spin faster. The few objects or structures impacted during this phase of the tornado's life were destroyed and tossed. The tornado slowly continued moving southwest, still very small but powerful. A debris cloud was now visible at the base of the rope tornado, with dust, dirt, and debris being picked up from the tornado crossing over fields. Near this location, a large strip of pavement, roughly 3 inches deep, was ripped off of the road and tossed. A home full of people taking shelter inside was also impacted. Tragically, all occupants of the home were killed when the tornado destroyed the home. At this point, the tornado began to take more of a westerly path as the condensation funnel became more and more visible. It began to morph and change shapes, with the twister widening, shrinking, and twisting. As the tornado crossed over fields and forested areas, a large debris cloud was visible as large pieces of debris were flung through the air and tossed a considerable distance. Then, as if waiting for the opportunity, the tornado quickly began to widen and strengthen as it approached a large group of homes, Double Creek Estates. The tornado became much more visible and began to widen to a width of 3/4 of a mile across. It was here where the most infamous photograph of this tornado was taken by Scott Beckwith, the dead man walking. The thin funnel, shrouded in debris, was surrounded by vortices, circling it like tentacles. The apparent multi-vortex structure has become a classic appearance among tornadoes, with many other violent twisters showcasing this look since. Shortly after, the tornado directly impacted the Double Creek Estates neighborhood. The twister halted movement completely while passing over, stalling over the homes while at F5 intensity. The damage left at Double Creek was some of the worst damage ever seen in history. When emergency responders arrived on the scene, they reported seeing nothing. Nearly every home that was hit by the tornado was completely destroyed, with the only thing being left of many being a bare slab. Some homes had portions of their foundations broken off and tossed, one of the most violent pieces of tornado damage ever witnessed. Trees would be debarked to an extreme degree, with many having most, if not all, of their bark removed, with one having an electrical wire threaded through it. The areas around the homes would receive some of the deepest and most intense ground scouring ever recorded, with up to 1.5 feet of topsoil being ripped out in some locations. In total, 38 homes were completely destroyed in the Double Creek Estates. From there, the tornado began to weaken significantly, and after 13 minutes and 7.5 miles of being on the ground, the tornado lifted in western Jarrell. The final result would be 27 deaths, $40 million in damage, and the complete destruction of the Double Creek Estates neighborhood, where most fatalities took place. Many other people would receive treatment as they were transferred to a hospital. The Jarrell tornado would go down as one of the most infamous tornadoes in history due to both the dead man walking shape it took on and the extreme damage it did, and the devastation it caused will never be forgotten. Double Creek Estates has been rebuilding since the tornado, with many homes having been rebuilt and the community flourishing today. Before I end this video, I would like to thank you all for watching. This took a lot of time and work, so I appreciate you watching until the end. If you at all found this enjoyable or informative, please consider subscribing, as it would help me out a lot. Also, I've linked down in the description a lot of sources that have a lot of good information on the tornado if you would like to learn more. Thank you for watching, and I will see you later on MediaCube.